Hello again, and welcome back to the Slow Flowers podcast with Deborah Prinzing, episode 563. This is the weekly podcast about slow flowers and the people who grow and design with them. It's all about making a conscious choice, and I invite you to join the conversation and the creative community as we discuss the vital topics of saving our domestic flower farms and supporting a floral industry that relies on a safe, seasonal, and local supply of flowers and foliage. This show is brought to you by slowflowers.com, the free online directory to more than 850 florists, shops, and studios who design with local, seasonal, and sustainable flowers, and to the farms that grow those blooms. It's the conscious choice for buying and sending flowers. And thank you to our lead sponsor, Farm Grow Flowers. Farm Grow Flowers delivers iconic burlap wrap bouquets and lush, abundant arrangements to customers across the U.S., supporting U.S. flower farms by purchasing more than $10 million of U.S.-grown, fresh and seasonal flowers and foliage annually. Discover more at farmgrowflowers.com. And thank you to Red Twig Farms. Based in Johnstown, Ohio, Red Twig Farms is a family-owned farm specializing in peonies, daffodils, tulips, and branches, a popular peony bouquet by mail program, and their Spread the Hope campaign where customers purchase 10 tulip stems for essential workers and others in their community. Learn more at redtwigfarms.com. Well, the 5th Slow Flowers Summit is coming right up, and everyone involved is getting very excited to convene in New York's Westchester County for 3 creatively informative and inspiring days centered around local flowers, sustainability, and community. Those dates are June 26th through 28th. Today, I want to share 2 back-to-back interviews with Slow Flowers members in New York's Lower Hudson Valley and in Brooklyn, both of whom are hosting bonus events built around the Slow Flowers Summit. You'll meet Sylvia Lukach of Cape Lily Floral and Molly Culver of Molly Oliver Flowers. They're both past guests of this podcast. Here's the scoop. Our conference theme is Flowers as Artists Muse. And on day 3 of the summit, our attendees will enjoy an immersive experience at Stone Barn Center's Arts and Ecology Lab. According to Sylvia, after our fantastic final day, the party isn't over. If that's not enough fun, Molly Culver has curated a fantastic New York City Flower District tour on the following day, Wednesday, June 29th. Learn more as you join my conversations with both women today. First, on Tuesday evening, June 28th, Sylvia and several of the creatives of Makers Central in Tarrytown, New York, will host a studio tour and cocktail party in their shared artisan workspace. It's an exclusive opportunity for summit guests only. During the Slow Flowers Summit Arts and Ecology Lab programming, attendees will meet Connor Magin, a ceramic artist and owner of Connor Magin Studio, and paper maker Natalia Woodward of Bat Flower Press. Sylvia Lukach will also be there to assist Blue Hill Restaurant Operations Manager and Floral Designer Philippe Guz in his demonstration. Sylvia generously cooked up this Makers Central tour and after party, and I'm so looking forward to attending and learning more about how her floral studio fits into a larger Makers space with so many different creative media. Second, you'll hear my conversation with Molly Culver of Brooklyn-based Molly Oliver Flowers, who will share a preview of her post-summit program, a New York City Flower District walking tour, followed by lunch and a studio visit to Molly Oliver Flowers' studio space in Brooklyn. Let's jump right in and hear from both Sylvia and Molly, as I mentioned, in back-to-back conversations. I know you'll find them inspiring and informative, and I look forward to seeing you at the Slow Flowers Summit. Hey everybody, it's Deborah Prinzing with the Slow Flowers Show. We have really cool visit today to meet one of our members, Sylvia Lukach of Cape Lily. Hi, Sylvia.
Hi, Deborah. Hi, everyone.
This was kind of came together at the last minute. Sylvia is she was in Harlem and New York, but now she's in Tarrytown, New York, and that is basically where we're coming for the Slow Flowers Summit. So we have so many things to talk about, but first of all, show us Maker Central, which is the home to your studio now. And
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about this wonderful place.
So I'm here in Tarrytown, just outside our studio. It's a shared space for makers. I'm going to go inside. I'm not sure how much you can see, but I share the space with, I think there are 8 different small businesses in here, from one of our founders, Connor, who's a ceramicist. He was actually looking for a space to work out of and found this, used to be like a mechanics garage that was much bigger than he could use by himself. And they provided some support to kind of get it set up to share it with other small businesses, makers in particular. So there's a carpenter, a letterpress studio, myself and Michelle Edgemont, another florist, who share our little space. We have Pivot Concrete, who make kind of home goods and vases and things like that out of cement. We have a knife maker, a carpentry team, and yeah, there's just always something happening in here. We even have behind me, this is a business called the Hudson Oven, who have like a bread mailbox here, so you can have a subscription to collect your sourdough once a week.
Oh my goodness.
It's basically like Brooklyn has moved to the suburbs.
Brooklyn has moved to lower Hudson Valley, right?
Yes.
That is amazing. It's so
yeah. So here's Connor.
Yeah, hi. We want to meet Connor. Hello there.
Hey, how are you guys?
We're great, and the Slow Flower Summit is very excited that you're going to be one of the featured artists on our
I'm very excited as well.
Yeah, on our day 3 floral immersion. Tell us what your relationship is with Stone Barns, and as a ceramic artist, what do you? It sounds like you've got a lot of things you're doing for Blue Hill Restaurant as well.
Yeah, I've been working with them for, I guess, the past 4 years or so. I used to be a cook myself, and then through knowing a bunch of the cooks there and people there, when I started my business making ceramic dinnerware, I started working with them pretty frequently. So I pretty much always have some sort of a project going on working with them, making custom designed plateware for the restaurant. And then over the pandemic, actually, I worked very closely with Philippe, who's their operations manager and kind of in control of the front of house. And we designed a whole bunch of these flower vases so that they could have an avenue to sell flowers from a lot of the local flower farmers that didn't really have access to customers during the pandemic. So actually behind me, there's a few of the pieces that we had made for these flower boxes.
That's one unit?
Yeah, this is one unit. I think we made about 100 different ones of these, all slightly different. They're all custom made. So we designed these in collaboration with a florist out of Irvington and Philippe. And then we're doing a bunch of other ones for Philippe for the floral installation for the Slow Flower Summit that are over here.
Oh, wow. We're getting a sneak peek, Connor. I didn't know Sylvia was going to make this happen.
But yeah, some of these kind of funkier, different things. So trying to have something that has a little bit of a natural feel to it, but it's simple enough so that kind of the flowers that are in there are really what's shining. But yeah.
Is those those pieces you've just shown me, I'm just assuming those are all hand built. Is that correct? Or were some of them on the wheel?
They're done with an extruder. So I'll extrude things out of this die and it shoots them out and then I'll manipulate them afterwards. So
wow.
At the Slow Flower Summit, I will be bringing a wheel. So I also do a lot of wheel thrown pieces. Like these guys. So I'll be bringing a wheel to kind of show that whole process. I find that's kind of the most visually interesting thing for sure. So
I love it. And one final thing, well, two maybe. One is we're actually going to eat our meal at Blue Hill Restaurant on your plateware.
Yeah, a lot of it. So they work with a lot of different artists, but a good portion of what they have is pieces that I've made for them.
That's great. That's awesome. I want to bring Sylvia back over next to you so we can see her. And I want the two of you to talk a little bit about the special event that Maker Central, your studio space, is going to host for Slow Flowers members as sort of an after party. This came together so you're so generous to come up with this, and I just want to let people know about it. So, who cooked this up? Was that you, Sylvia?
I think it was my idea, but we like parties here. At the end of every month, we throw a Sunday supper, which is open to the public. Mm-hmm. So in my version, you would have just come and I would have gone to the bottle store and bought a few bottles of wine, and that would be it. But then if Connor gets involved, it becomes a whole amazing thing. So now,
okay, here I'm trying to minimize myself on the screen so I can see you both side by side. So this is you're already kind of in that kind of ritual of hosting dinners. Are they for your customers or people in the community? How does that happen?
So we sell tickets and do these dinners. Kind of the whole impetus around this space was creating a space for makers who create functional items, mostly geared towards the hospitality industry. So making, whether it be tables or cutting boards or menus or floral installations or plateware, it's all kind of geared around a table or hospitality in general. And pretty much everybody who works out of the space has worked somewhere in or around the hospitality industry. So it only felt natural to kind of use everything that we have to set one big long table and bring people in, and kind of the idea being sit around a table with a bunch of strangers and break bread. So It kind of fit naturally to say, hey, let's set up a thing and have everybody from the summit come down here. We'll make some cocktails, some glasses of wine, and kind of just mingle around and be in this creative space so we can kind of share ideas and get some things flowing. So,
that's wonderful. For the dinners then, Sylvia, are you and Michelle doing the floral pieces every month?
Yeah, we take turns depending on our availability, and if neither of us are here, then surprisingly, Connor and Stetson, the other co-founder of Makers, are very talented florists themselves. So,
I love that.
And just use whatever seasonal. So it's always beautiful, no matter who it is.
We try
and do something more special. Like for one, Connor built me this wooden frame that we had at the end of the table, so it would look like you were in someone's home with a painting as the backdrop. And we did all marigolds, I think, in July or August, and then all dahlias from Stars of the Meadow the following month, just like pack that frame full of those.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I mean, you said it's a mechanic space, so you had to try to make it feel intimate, even though there's sort of large beams in the ceilings and the garage door and all. Let me pop up the invite on the screen just so we can share it with people. And the link has gone out to our attendees, but basically we just need people to register here because it's a limited number of spaces. I think almost everybody who decides they can stay after the summit ends on day 2 or day 3, which would be, as it says on here, June 28th. The summit ends like in the mid-afternoon, and you're going to host this from 6 to 7:30 afterwards. So I hope people take advantage of this. This is wonderful.
Yeah, I hope so. And we're right in town, so if people want to come, grab a drink, and then head out to get some dinner next door, that's a good way to the rest of the
That sounds great. And I love that it's called Meet the Makers, because there are so many talented artisans and makers who are in your one facility, that it's going to sort of be a natural flow from what we do in the afternoon at the summit, because one of your other fellow makers is also presenting at the Arts and Ecology Lab as well.
Yeah, Flower Press, she's actually here today too.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, everyone's been invited, so just a first come, first serve. Get your reservation in. I will see you there. I'm very excited. I'm not taking off right after the summit, so I better get myself registered. Sylvia, you're going to give us a little bit of a tour over to your space now, right?
Yes. Thanks, Connor.
Okay. Thank you, Connor. I look forward to seeing you.
Okay.
Thanks. That's great.
I'm going to get a feel for the space.
Yeah, I'm going to leave the screen large so that people can see the full horizontal.
Yeah, so you can see it was originally one space, and it's just been divided. Kind of has this full front section, and then there's a little ramp as we go up here. To the left, we have the kitchen through that door behind me. A beautiful kitchen. Everyone does a lot of cooking. As Connor said, most people come from like hospitality backgrounds, so do a lot of shared meals. This is Natalia behind me. I won't disturb her now, but you can see some of the artwork that she creates from her paper.
Yes, we'll see her at the summit. I'm so excited.
Yeah, and her printing press. And then behind me we have a carpenter space, knife making, and pivot concrete. And then this is the space that I share with Michelle. I'll do that like obvious caveat that it's a Monday and we had events on the weekend, so it's a mess, but honestly, it's always a bit of a mess.
Everyone watching understands what Mondays are like for flower farmers and floral designers, especially.
Yeah,
so
you should have seen it an hour ago.
So what's your square footage then?
I would say maybe 350, 400 square feet.
Wow,
it's like a big square. It's pretty
you make
tight.
The most of it, yeah.
Yeah, we do. We don't have a lot of wall space, which is challenging also. This is where Connor used to mix his clay, but we converted it into a cooler with a cool bot. So we have a lot of flowers left over from the weekend.
That's amazing.
So we can pack in a lot of flowers, but often, not enough if we both have events. That cool bots. Yeah, we don't have a window to duct it out of, so it kind of ducts out to the back and the whole thing.
I love it.
And it's like a big box. We have work tables, and then if we're really, really busy, we spill out into the shared space. People are really generous about, allowing us to use more of the space if we need to.
It sounds like you're all really supportive of each other's work, and this is a 24/7 space because artists keep weird hours and florists keep weird hours. So it seems like you just make it work.
Yeah, I think that's key. Obviously, like tonight we have what we call family meal, which is like a monthly check-in. And it is kind of like a family because we are supportive in that sense, but also in a family, you have to make sure you're considerate of other people and the space and the noise. You can imagine there's a lot of dust, a lot of noise here. So I think communication is key so we can all be successful and help each other out as much as possible. But I appreciate that a lot about the people here.
Well, Sylvia, I know that you had a journey to get to this space. You had you relocated when you started. I don't know exactly why, but you started having children and you grew your family, and maybe you had to get out of the city. So it's been 3 or 4 years since you've been out of New York?
Yeah, it'll be 3.5 years now. So we moved 1 year before the pandemic. And I was out of my basement when we first moved, which was a nightmare, not sustainable. And then there was a beautiful building that I belong to, like an office co-working space out of there. That's a lovely community of, just like freelance workers, people during the pandemic looking for somewhere to work. And there are a lot of studio spaces in that building. And Michelle and I were looking at the same time. We knew each other a little bit and had some freelance florists that had worked for both of us in common. And we took a lease in that beautiful building on the river in November 2019, so just before COVID hit, and a 3-year lease. And a few months later, just like staring at each other in this. That was like 1,000 square feet, actually. So, from my perspective, I would have had to have grown into that space. It was kind of a leap of faith. And then obviously it was just a disaster. So it took us about a year to get out of that lease and find a space here. But I have to say we're very happy to have moved together. And I think it's interesting to share a space as two florists who we basically have the same business model. We're both doing weddings and events. We're in the same town outside of New York, same target audience. Obviously, we have key differentiators. Like Michelle does a lot of end-to-end design. If you want a balloon wall, she'll do that. I won't. But yeah, it makes so much sense to share the same resources. Like we don't need to own 2 hookers and 2 brooms, 2 15-foot bladders, whatever. All these things, and we use each other's old flowers all the time. There's just a
Wow.
lot of built.
But it makes a lot of sense, and it also, you're so enriched by this larger community of other makers and artists that you couldn't have predicted until you made the leap of faith to downsize, really.
Yeah, and I think that was something, it was clear to us that makers operate as a community, and that was important to them to make sure that we were the right fits and would also kind of embrace that mentality. And so that has worked well, but yeah, I wish this situation for everyone, because I'm not someone who likes working alone. And as a florist, it can be a bit of a lonely industry sometimes. So I hope that kind of all over the country, this model of shared space for makers, we already have it for, corporate type jobs.
Right.
Because it really does make sense.
Wow. Well, you had this quiet period when all your weddings and events were postponed, and you used it, it seems to me, to do something really creative, and that is to launch a custom wallpaper line. I don't know much about it, but I'm gaga over the photos. Can you share a little bit about how that all came together? And I'll try to pull up the photos while we're talking from your website. It's called the Cape Lily collection, right? Or how do you describe it?
Well, I'm just calling it Cape Lily Home. It's only wallpaper now. And on the website, you'll find the first 2 designs. I have 2 more kind of ready to add to that, but the first collection this year is called Afro Botanical, which I think I say in the description is a made-up word, but it's what I've loved from the beginning for my floral business and my branding and everything. And it's basically a mix of all my favorite South African flowers where I'm from, and what's local and seasonal, and the best of kind of the cutting garden varieties. So the next 2 designs that will drop feature dahlias and a mix of proteas, blushing bride, dahlias, amaryllis. So I've tried to really stick to things from South Africa that I feel are unusual and not commonly seen, but also that have beautiful texture. So
this is the blushing bride, and is it from your photography or?
Yeah, so I worked with a photography team, also local, who were actually my neighbors in our previous studio space, and they photographed the images for me, as well as another photography friend who I'd worked with in the past. I've been photographing these blushing brides for quite some time. The first time when I started this business, probably 6 years ago. So I blended those photographs and worked with a graphic design and wallpaper printing company to create the pattern.
Wow.
Protea, you see, those are actually dried proteas, which is why the colors that kind of beigey.
Oh, it's wonderful. I'm just enthralled by these. These are gorgeous.
Yeah, they really are beautiful. I think the king protea, I can actually show you an in-person sample here, but what you don't see on the screen is obviously the texture. So this is the king protea in real life on grass cloth.
Oh, wow.
And you can just see the texture is so beautiful.
Oh my goodness. So these are, they're like canvases. They're like art canvases, but you've made them in the size that could be applied to the wall.
Yeah, it is kind of traditional wallpaper in the sense that it comes in standard widths and you can pick your ceiling height. And there is a repeat, so you can wrap it all around a room. Or the blushing bride is a little bit different in the sense that it's a really large-scale mural. So I would see people using that as a feature wall, probably. Like in a nursery, I would do one big wall. I mean, you could do the whole room, but the scale is really large. I'll just pull that one up so you can see the scale.
So it'd be like a wonderful accent wall in a bedroom or in a dining room or a living room. So is that paper a different size?
The scale is different, and
got it.
Like this is and non-woven fiber. So this is the width. So it's 54 inches wide, which is wider than your traditional 27.
Right, which is why it's so great for a large wall. Oh, it's breathtaking. Oh my God. What inspired? I mean, I know your brand is Cape Lily, and that's South Africa. Finboss is the word, right? You've taught me that.
Yeah.
Am I saying it right?
Fynbos.
Fynbos, and that's the flora of South Africa, right?
Yeah, it's the biome that's unique to the Cape Floral Kingdom in and around Cape Town. It's, quite a small area with a lot of floral diversity, and the species that are most commonly known are the protea. Blushing bright is actually a protea technically. Things like leucodendron, pincushions, a lot of restios, reeds are also part of the fynbos family. And they really celebrate it in South Africa. And obviously here they see more as tropicals, ironically sometimes because it's not a tropical region. But it came about, I was just so bored, not even bored during COVID. I was very busy looking after my then 14-month-old daughter. There was no work in sight. I was stressed about having to pay this rent in my studio and really, not being someone who likes to sit around just thinking like, what am I going to do? How am I going to make money? I also had the travel business, so the botanical journeys I was doing to South Africa, and obviously travel wasn't happening. So I just started trying to decorate our house because we'd moved there recently and, things weren't really in place. And I wanted some wallpaper up the staircase and started looking. I didn't really want to get flowers because, we already have a lot of flowers in our lives, but I would pause every time I saw a floral wallpaper. And I just started noticing that if I were to choose the floral wallpaper, I wouldn't actually be able to find one that I liked personally, mainly because they were all very dark black backgrounds, and that's just not really our style. Mm-hmm. So then I started thinking, how hard could this be? Wallpaper.
Any capable woman and talented artist. I love it.
And it was a lot harder than I thought.
Okay.
The conclusion. Yeah.
Did you say it was harder than you thought?
Oh, much.
Okay.
And looking back, I don't know exactly why that is, but I think creating a pattern is a real art, and there's a lot of back and forth that occurred between myself and the graphic design team. I think I drove them nuts, like, could you move that stem like 2 inches to the left? Could you cut it shorter? Like swivel it, different direct, like all the different scales. So if I were to do it again, I would probably be a lot more decisive. But yeah, it's just a very particular industry with standards and norms that if you're not part of that world, like I was completely clueless. And
so have you, you've got these 2 pieces now. You said you're going to add additional, designs to the collection. Did you say what flowers you're going to use for those? I might have been too enthralled with the website to pay attention to what you said.
Yeah, so the ones you've seen are quite neutral colors and very light pinks. The photographs were not kind of edited in any way. I haven't changed any of the colors. I'm not going to do colorways because I want it to be very natural. And the next 2 designs are, one is kind of pinkish dahlias. It's quite much brighter colors just because those were the colors of the flowers. And that's kind of a separate dahlia print. And then the other one is a mix of the things you've seen, the protea as well as amaryllis and the dahlias. So that one is very busy and bright, and it feels kind of tropical. It was kind of a happy accident. It wasn't what I imagined at all, but when I saw everything come together, I think it's quite fun.
Sylvia, congratulations. How are you getting this out into the marketplace? Are you going to start doing like home interior, trade shows, or how do you get people to get hooked on these?
Very good question. I am learning as I go, so I'm trying to meet as many industry people, interior designers, etc. But I think my route to market is definitely through the trade or interior designers. I am selling direct to consumer on my website. That was kind of the launch that took place over the weekend, and we'll see how that goes. But I'm going to try and get into showrooms as a next step. I think trade shows, maybe in future, but it's a big undertaking. It's very costly. But my next step, once I have a couple, I think I probably need like a collection of at least 6 to have a little capsule collection. Yeah. Is to take it to the showrooms and just try and get it on walls, basically anyone's walls, get some attention around it, and get it stocked.
Well, I'm sitting here thinking about how you're not afraid of research, and figuring it out? Because you started the whole travel division of Cape Lily kind of the same way. Like, I'm going to start leading tours. I'm going to lead botanical tours, and how hard can it be? And you just did it.
Yeah, and I think there's, there are pros and cons to my way of going about things. And I think as a personality, I get bored quite easily and like doing different things. So that's great. But I think the challenge is all these different parts of my business are very different industries. And, it probably would be better just to focus on one thing and put all my energy into one thing. But that's just not really my nature, I guess.
It's like flowers and floral design is somewhat of a thread through all of it. Yeah. But then you're departing into the travel and tourism industry, and then the home decor industry, and then weddings and events. So it's all good. I can see exactly how you got yourself in this mess, but because you're insatiably curious. So yeah. Well, before I let you go, you said you just unveiled the wallpaper, and I know that was it part of the Leaf flower show in New York that you did that?
Yeah, so I timed it to coincide with the Leaf Flower Festival. It's the second year New York City has hosted this flower festival over a full weekend in the Meatpacking District with hundreds of florists doing different installations downtown, decorating storefronts in a similar way that you have the kind of Chelsea flower show being celebrated in Chelsea in London. And I had a market stall where I sold all South African flowers. I did an installation for Soho House. So there was a lot of activity over the weekend, and I was trying to take advantage of kind of the press and interest around it to launch the wallpaper. So for my design installation, I had like a matrix, let's call it, a plywood matrix with 4 sides with 3 different wallpaper prints on the one I referred to, kind of the tropical one, also just printed on vinyl as a markup.
Got it. Mm-hmm.
And then I used the same flowers, kind of overlaid them on top of the wallpaper. So for the protea one, I had the dried proteas and lots of dried things. For the blushing bride, I had some dried and a lot of blushing bride. So it was a really cool 3-dimensional effects, and it was really well received, which is
it was like your own art in bloom, where you had the canvas and then the live, fresh floral arrangement inspired by that work of art. You kind of just reverse engineered it.
Exactly. Yeah. Flowers on flowers.
Congratulations. I can't believe you even had time to talk to me today. I'm so grateful. When we air this conversation on Friday, which will be the 17th, I'll maybe have some photos from you that I can edit in and share a little bit from the Leaf exhibition, because I know it's just, you probably haven't even gone through your photos yet and edited them, but I'd love to share them.
I'm sure there'll be no editing, but give them what I have.
It's okay. I'm just like to, I watched a little bit over Instagram on the weekend, and I was just thrilled to see this wallpaper idea come to life. And I'm sure you had a lot of inquiries about it too.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of interest. I think what I've learned in all parts of my business is marketing is a long, slow journey. From awareness to someone clicking purchase, especially when a product is kind of more high value, is a very long road. But I'm curious to see where this leads. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Sylvia, thank you so much. We'll see you at the Slow Flowers Summit on Sunday at Red Barn at Maple Grove. I know you're going to be an attendee. And then I heard through the grapevine that you're going to assist Philippe Guz on Tuesday when he's showcasing the flowers for Blue Hill Restaurant. So I don't know how that came about, but that sounds really great.
Yeah, I'll be there as much as I can, and I really look forward to seeing everyone.
Oh, great. And then we'll all be together at whoever can stay and come to Maker Central for this wonderful Slow Flowers reception. It's so exciting, and I appreciate you putting that together. Anything else?
Please, it'll be really fun.
Anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
No, I think that's it. Just really excited to have the Slow Flower Summit coming to our backyard. And I know it's a really busy time for florists this time of year. and encourage everyone to take it easy, ask for help, and stay sane.
Okay, my dear. Thanks so much. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in a couple weeks.
Bye, Deborah. Thanks.
Bye-bye. Take care. Hi there, everybody. This is Deborah Prinzing of the Slow Flower Show, and we've got some special visual eye candy for you today. I want to introduce my good friend, Molly Culver of Molly Oliver Flowers in Brooklyn. Hi, Molly.
Hi, Deborah.
Hey, we're going to see each other in person in 2 weeks at the Slow Flowers Summit. But first, I just have to acknowledge you've been such a great partner in Slow Flowers. You're one of our earliest members, early guest on the podcast, and last year you were a featured speaker at the Slow Flowers Summit in 2021. So all of those are good things.
Yes, we've known each other for so long, and I've just always been such a huge admirer and so grateful for everything you do to pull flowers, florists and farmers together. So, and last year was a lot of fun. I can't wait to reconvene soon.
Yes, it was a lot of fun. And actually, that was kind of just to digress, that farmer-florist connection was really a big part of your presentation because you talked about how sustainable floristry is influenced by flower farming. So you're deep into your relationship with your flower farmers. And I was just acknowledging before we started recording that Molly Oliver Flowers is in year 3 of this really fun, maybe started because of COVID, but evolved into something really powerful, seasonal flower project. Can you just talk a little bit about it? And I'll pop up the page from your website so people can see how it's structured. What got you started on this?
Definitely, the void that COVID created in terms of events. In March of 2020, we had about 40 events on the calendar, and within a week or two, those were all postponed. And so within a few weeks, I was sort of like coming down from the initial shock of the pandemic and thinking about, oh my gosh, all these farmers I typically work with who have planted out fields and have greenhouses full of plugs and flowers for the coming event season are not going to have their usual outlets and clients. And so I knew there were a lot of flowers out there, and certainly I was thinking a lot about so many New Yorkers just cooped up inside, and, it was during the lockdown phase. People really weren't going outside much. And when you live in a super small apartment in New York City, one of the things that gets you through is like access to the outdoors and access to the parks and all of that. And so sort of a back burner idea of bringing locally farmed flowers to a wider audience was there, and I hadn't yet been able to do anything with that, just being so busy with events. And so just called up farmers, asked them if they would be interested in wholesaling large amounts of flowers each week, and they were definitely game. And so we launched an e-commerce website basically overnight. Mm-hmm. And there was a huge response of people just really eager to have that beauty and piece of nature in their house. And so we started doing seasonal flower subscriptions essentially. And, the first year we did, I think, one size and every single week. And we were delivering it all ourselves, like door to door, which, quickly we realized that wasn't sustainable for the long run. But we now have evolved to offering pickup and delivery. We have about 20 partners around New York City that service pickup sites like a traditional CSA. And I work with around 10 to 20 farmers who supply for the project. So people get a different seasonal flower every week, and they get a newsletter with information about that flower and, expected base life and tips and tricks. And
I, for some reason, I'm a subscriber to that newsletter or one of your newsletters, and I just think it's really, it's so enriching, and you take a lot of care into customer education, which we've all said is really the secret sauce to get this whole industry turned around. Telling people about the flower, who grew it, how they need to care for it and why you love it. That's so sweet. Show us what you're sending out this week. And I think there's some paper on your table that keeps rattling when you put your hands down. So maybe you could, that's okay. I'm just going to ask you to move that.
We're doing Scoop Scabiosa this week.
Oh, that color is crazy.
From Hickory Grove Gardens. They're in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. So a little bit like northwest of Philly.
Oh, geez.
And this, sorry, I have to figure out.
Yeah, that color is good. Just put it right in front of your face.
Yeah, right. It's just in front of the face. There you go.
That's stunning. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, let's
also got this beauty.
Is this now? How will these go out? Will these go out in a single composed wrap, or
yeah?
Do people get
we're
bases?
working on coming up with a recipe for how many stems of each color each member will get, and then we will process them a little bit and package them in our own packaging. Just brown paper sleeves, nothing fancy. That's sort of the appeal, was like trying to be an alternative to, things that are over packaged, essentially. Always plastic wrap, things that me as a consumer, whenever I'm gifted flowers, I'm like, oh, like this is such a drag. A lot of this like waste that comes along with this.
Sure. Oh, I agree. But that's again part of the education. You're kind of letting people know that's part of your decision making, right?
Yeah. I think people we're sort of meeting people in the moment. I was talking to another florist about this in terms of events. I think people are looking for more environmentally friendly alternatives when it comes to event design, and certainly also just retail bouquets. So, meeting people where they're at, where they're thinking.
Yeah. So is this one of the most popular ones? 12 bouquets biweekly, $50 per week. Yeah. So what a bargain. I mean,
that's a good one. Yeah. I mean, 12 bouquets is popular. I think honestly, our biggest seller was full season this year. I did a deep discount in December. So people were able to get this full season 40 weeks for as little as $40 a week.
Okay, I'm trying to find that. I guess it's kind of a countdown. Now you have it as the remaining season, right?
Right. Yeah. So 45 a week for people that invest for the remainder of the season.
If they somehow miss spring, they can jump in and participate for the summer.
Yeah, we're not doing it seasonally anymore. We're just offering quantities of bouquets. So you can buy 4, 8, 12 at a time, or you can just go for the whole season, and you can do it weekly or bi-weekly.
So creative. And you have deployed designers or your studio designers to help you pull this together. And then do you have delivery people, or do you have a crew of delivery people?
Yeah, we have 3 delivery, all ladies right now. And they do the deliveries all around, mostly Brooklyn and Manhattan, a little bit of Long Island City, Queens. And I also have a driver that goes out to get all the farm product on Mondays now. Wow.
There's a lot behind a simple bouquet of anemones that we're seeing on the screen. Really also is. Because I was so interested when you started announcing like this coffee shop, this restaurant, like you have all these sort of other merchants who are willing to be a pickup site. Are you still doing that?
Yeah. We have at the moment, I think 17 locations around the city that serve as pickup locations. And those were mostly like cold calls that I made at the end of 2020 as I was looking ahead at 21. Like, we can't do this direct door-to-door thing anymore. It's not sustainable or, cost effective for anyone. But at that time, we were still sort of in the middle of the pandemic, like the second wave or whatever. And I think a lot of small shops, a lot of small businesses, especially coffee shops, were like looking for ways to utilize their space. So even if they were just having a window for people to pick up, a lot of local small restaurants and cafes in New York became almost like commissaries, like small stores, so that they could entice people to come their way for more things when they couldn't have service. So I think that was part of the appeal of, we'll host your flower CSA and maybe we'll get a few more people in the door.
Right. Or people are picking up provisions that maybe they would have normally. It wasn't. We had that in Seattle too, like the London Plane. They started offering all kinds of baked breads and soup by the quart, and things that people could not dine in but take home, and they added flowers to that offering. So why not add flowers, especially these beautiful Molly Oliver flowers, to your latte? So I love it. So Molly, that is going on right now, and I want to segue to the next thing we're going to talk about, which is the special program you're putting together for people attending the Slow Flower Summit. And I guess, if someone is local in the tri-state area of New York and they hear about this, they could sign up too. They don't have to be an attendee of the summit, do they?
No, I haven't quite advertised publicly yet, and I will. I was waiting to, wanting to give enough space for people who find out through your newsletters. But I think we're getting to that point where we'll advertise it. But yeah, it's open to anybody.
Great. Well, I'll put this up on the screen. What's behind this is that you and I have been talking for over a year about how to add a tour component before or after the Slow Flower Summit. And the Slow Flower Summit location where the 3 days are is kind of Westchester County, which is about, 45 minutes outside of New York?
Depending on where you're traveling from. Yeah.
And I had originally thought, we'll do a farm tour up in Hudson Valley. But that is a logistical challenge for people who are flying in. A lot of the farmers I talked with had other commitments. And you said, Deb, why don't I do a New York City flower walking tour? And I'm like, yeah, why not? So let's come to Molly Oliver Flower's backyard. I'm going to put that up on the screen, and maybe you can talk a little bit about how you designed it. And this is the day that this is taking place is Wednesday, June 29th, which is the day after we finish up with the summit. So it shouldn't be hard for people to get down to the city that Tuesday night or Wednesday morning to join you.
Yeah, hopefully. So yeah, what I organized is to do a walking tour of the 28th Street New York City Flower District, the wholesale flower district. And
so awesome. Look at that.
We're going to meet, there it is on the left. We're going to meet at 11:30. So yeah, hopefully that would give some time for people who are staying upstate to come down.
Oh, wait, it's 10 to 11:30, the morning.
10 to 11:30. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're right.
That's okay.
11:30. That might make it a bit of an early morning for some people. But
People can plan. They're adults. We're not going to coordinate their travel. But I guess, think of all
and again, I was up at 5, and I think a lot of farmers and florists generally are up at.
I was just going to say, how many
10 o'clock.
days of your life were you down at this district at 5 or 6 a.m. getting flowers? It's like a regular. That's when it's most crowded, right?
Yeah. So we'll meet at 10, the very leisurely hour of 10 o'clock, and that is almost on purpose because that way we can sort of. The first rush, like all the florists will not be there and the wholesalers will have a little bit more time and space to give us. And there's a few shops in particular that I'm going to take the group that specialize in forging relationships with local farmers. One is a wholesaler of foliage. One is a wholesaler of mostly flowers, cut flowers. And one is sort of a combo foliage and flowers. And the third one, he also sources a lot from California domestically. So, so I'm excited to introduce people, florists, to those 3 particular wholesalers, but I think we'll still have time to sort of take our time in between, and you can certainly poke your head into some of the other really interesting wholesale shops that are maybe doing tropicals or just all the amazing international product that you can see there. I know
that's wonderful.
A lot of florists around the country even have wholesale accounts with some of the wholesalers on 28th Street because, like Maesh, it's sort of the other hub for a lot of just bulk volume of wholesale flowers.
I have such a good memory of 28th Street Flower District. I'm going to walk down memory lane here. I think I told you this story, Molly. I went to FIT when I was a senior in college, which is the Fashion Institute of Fashion Institute of Technology, basically across the street. It's on 28th between 7th and 8th, and the Flower District is between 6th and 7th. So I was homesick. It was like fall. I'd been in New York for, I don't know, 3 or 4 months, and I walked through that district, and there were these giant boxes of Oregon-grown holly that had been brought in to sell for, I guess, Christmas decorations or holiday decorations. And I just went up to this guy and I said, "See that holly? I'm from Oregon, and we have some in our yard." And he was like, "Yeah, right, lady." You know, it's like patted me on the head. But
Sure.
but it's just like this conglomeration of botanicals from all around the world. I think you and your intentionality with the relationships you've forged with these wholesalers, you've elevated their awareness of domestic and local sourcing, right? I mean, have you seen a change in the
Yeah.
decade you've been doing this?
100%. Yeah.
Wow.
Back 10 years ago, I have powerful memories of being, first of all, like pretty intimidated by the market. It wasn't clear right away, like how it works. Nobody takes you in and says, "Here's how this works." Like you kind of have to.
That's why people need to go on this tour with you.
Yeah. Yes. If only I had somebody to explain to me, like, yes, you can leave flowers on the shelf, and now you can walk out of here and go look at other flowers before you pay for them. I didn't know that for like 3 years. You know, and so that's where like not working for another florist comes to bite you. I could have, but I never did that. So I learned the hard way. But I was always asking, you know, the wholesalers, "Where did this come from?" And then I'd be like, "And where did this come from? Where did this come from?" And they would just look at me sideways and roll their eyes, you know. But that was sort of my way of starting to learn, like, yeah, which wholesalers buy local and when, and what things can I come to expect will come locally and at what times. And that's really, as I've taken record of that and note of that over the years, it's really served the backbone of my business and being able to tell customers and clients, like, here's what you can expect. And I've had the pleasure also of like connecting wholesalers with farmers that they hadn't known about before, or connecting farmers who have surpluses with these wholesalers.
Wow. That's going to be awesome. And the price for this is $95. And that is for the sort of private walking tour led by you for the morning. And you kind of structured this day into 2 parts. So you can just do that and you can stay in New York, or you can go on to the afternoon, which is separately priced. And I'll put that up too, Molly. That is what I'm excited about, your lunch and studio tour, because we're seeing you in your studio right now. So there'll be time for people to get from point A to point B by ride sharing, right?
Yeah, I'm going to organize, and it's already baked into the price. So I will be calling a couple taxis, and people won't have to worry about, you know, splitting cost or whatever like that. And they'll just take maybe a few taxis to my place, about half an hour from the market, 30-minute drive over the Brooklyn. Well, I don't know if we'll take Brooklyn Bridge. I'm not going to sell that, but
we won't hold you to it.
Yeah. And then we'll come to my studio, and I can give kind of a simple tour of how the studio is organized. And the kinds of materials and the kinds of systems that we have in place, just to sort of help us in our goal to be as sustainable as possible, facilitate saving product or handling waste in a more sustainable way. But also, I'm hoping, you know, we're going to have a delicious lunch that I'm going to have catered by a local Brooklyn chef. And after that, I think I want to facilitate a real like group discussion about how each of us is approaching sustainability in our different businesses, and use that time to kind of trade ideas, but also get into some of the harder questions about some of the products that are on the market right now that people are kind of raving about or checking out, things like AgriWool, Floral Frogs, and Ocean pouches, right? There's these different products that I sort of want to interrogate the sustainability of a little bit, and use the time to brainstorm, share what is working and what more we could do to reduce reliance on fossil fuels, on plastics, non-renewables.
Right. Wow. It sounds like it's going to be so thoughtful and engaging, and a real chance that a smaller group can achieve. When you have 100 people in a room, it's sort of hard to facilitate that, but you're going to keep this group to what, about 15 or 20 people?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Keep it to 20.
That sounds wonderful. And Matt, and I changed the screen off, but I just want to say that is also $95. So together, it's under $200. It sounds like a really phenomenal opportunity to immerse yourself in the life of a New York City florist and a sustainable florist. And I know you're in your studio now. Could you give us a little rotation of the camera so we can see what's going on? And
everyone's dispersed and on break. Sophie's over there.
Oh, good. They deserve a break. They've been working for hours. This long table do you do workshops here too, Molly?
I haven't yet, but I want to.
Okay.
We moved into this space May of 2020. So, we have still not really gotten to the point where I feel at ease having people in here. There's not a whole lot of air circulation. So, but yes, I could definitely envision doing workshops here for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And it sounds like it'll be completely safe for the studio tour.
We'll wear masks. That will be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds great. Well, how big is the space? Because I know you were in a shared studio before COVID hit, right?
Yeah. I was in 300 square feet for like the first 10 years of my business.
I never saw it, but you described it to me because you even had a photographer that you shared it with or something, right?
Yeah, I mean, she had another 300 square feet.
Oh, okay.
I have 300 square feet. This is 800 square feet.
Oh my God, it must feel like luxury now.
It does, and also it feels too small now. There's a lot more stuff and there's a lot going on now that events are back in full swing. But there is one other florist, Elisa from Rosewood Floral, and she rents a small space at the back there.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
you create a little community. Well, you're asking a lot of this space, and it's got to be functional for you. Especially, I see all that beautiful Catinus behind you. That must be for something special coming up.
Yes, tomorrow we are doing a fundraiser at Brooklyn Botanic Garden for the New York Restoration Project, which is actually Bette Midler's nonprofit that was founded to support community gardens.
Oh, right.
So
that's crazy. I love it.
Yeah, so we're going to do that tomorrow.
So if people are watching this, then check out the Instagram feed of Molly Oliver Flowers. You might see how the bucket of Catinus reemerges as something stunning at the Brooklyn Botanical Garden. That's awesome, Molly.
I was excited to find this today. We've been hearing it's been hard for people to find smokebush this year, but there it was.
Oh my gosh, especially in bloom like that. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, it looks so good.
Oh my gosh. Well, Molly, I'm so excited to see you at the Slow Flowers Summit. You're such a leader in our community. And thank you for stepping up and just taking the creative energy to put a tour together that is entirely optional.
Excited.
Yeah. I hope we get some good attendance and, that people get like another enriching way to connect with what's happening in the Slow Flowers world.
Oh, I think it'll be so fun. The tour I'm really excited about. I know the wholesalers are as well. They're excited to host and share a little bit about the history of the market, which I think is going to be super interesting. And we'll definitely have a lot of fun. So thank you for helping me to spread the word.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds great. Well, one more thing I want to mention. I don't even think you know about this, but the first week of August, I saw that you are speaking at the Association of Specialty Cut Flower Growers Conference. Yes. And Slow Flowers is sponsoring your presentation. So they had this opportunity for to sponsor individual talks. So I was like, well, Molly's the girl. We got to do this. Yeah.
That's so nice.
So what do you tell us what you're going to be presenting on? And when I post this in our podcast, I'll put the link so people can check that out.
They asked me to just come and talk about the Seasonal Flower Project, how it works, how I set up the e-commerce, which is really exciting to me because I've had glimmers, I've had thoughts of like wanting to, I don't know, like create a training or a workshop or a way to help other florists learn how to work with farmers and facilitate those relationships, and then also how to market this to people and to set their expectations in such a way. And if a florist has never, been part of a CSA or managed a CSA, it could be really helpful. So I'm going to be sharing kind of those tactics in the hopes that more florists will be able to support their local regional farmers by taking bulk product. There's so many regional farmers popping up everywhere all the time now. And what I've seen in my local area is that the longer farmers are in it, the more they want to shave off of their grow list and they want to grow more of less. So if they're growing more of less, it makes it easier to do something like a subscription. And
because the quantities would support multiple customers.
Correct.
Yeah, I think that's really a great observation, because that sounds, at first you're like, what? You're growing more of less? You mean you have less choice? But actually that's how the farmer's going to see a profit and be more sustainable in their business.
Yeah, to find the flowers that really grow well in their microclimate, and that their community and their market really want. Mm-hmm. And I think also, when you've got 20, like as in the Connecticut Flower Collective, when you have 20 farmers all growing, Queen Lime zinnias, and they don't all sell, or, it's like people have to figure out how to specialize and kind of find their niche.
Such a good point. There's plenty of bounty for everyone if the farmer realizes just grow what you're good at and what's going to, be cost effective for you. So, but I love your idea of turning that into a training. Let's talk about that and maybe set it up, and we'll sponsor it. Yeah. Because it's, you've done all the work to like crack the code on how to do this. Cause you even told me the first year was sort of a break even year for you, just to, because of,
and it's been a process of figuring out, like which varieties really do work for this, like for transport, for all the additional handling that happens. And then obviously just to last, in the customer's vase, and ideally for 3 to 5 days. So it's been a journey, and also the whole piece of just scheduling like the routing and figuring out routing software. I mean, it's been a whole other ballgame, but it's been fun. And I could definitely see offering something like this to florists who are interested in starting subscription services.
I love it. Okay. Well, that's a teaser for the future. If you're going to, the ASCFG, be sure to check out Molly's presentation. I'm hoping to be there, Molly. So I'll be in the back of the room going woot woot. But before that, I will see you in your backyard in just 2 weeks. So thank you so much, Molly. This has been such a good preview. Awesome. Yeah. And I'll let you get having me. You bet. I'll let you get back to all your to-dos today.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks
Have
so much.
A good day, Deborah.
Okay, hon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining me today. Check out our show notes at slowflowerspodcast.com for episode 563, where you can watch both replay videos of my interviews with Sylvia and Molly. The Meet the Makers party at Makers Central is only open to attendees of the Slow Flowers Summit. There is a sign-up link provided in today's show notes. Molly Culver's New York City Flower District walking tour and lunch and design demonstration at her Brooklyn studio are open to summit attendees and other flower lovers. So if you're in the area, you might want to check it out. The morning and afternoon sessions are separately priced at $95 each, and space is limited. You can join Molly for either session or sign up for both. The cost of shared cabs with other participants and lunch is included in the workshop ticket for the second part of the day. I'll share the sign-up link in today's show notes for episode 563 at slowflowerspodcast.com. Our next thank you goes to the Seattle Wholesale Growers Market, a farmer-owned cooperative committed to providing the very best the Pacific Northwest has to offer in cut flowers, foliage, and plants. The Growers Market's mission is to foster a vibrant marketplace that sustains local flower farms and provides top-quality products and services to the local floral industry. Visit them at seattlewholesalegrowersmarket.com. Our final thanks goes to Longfield Gardens, which provides home gardeners with high-quality flower bulbs and perennials. Their online store offers plants for every region and every season, from tulips and daffodils to dahlias, caladiums, and amaryllis. Check out the full catalog at Longfield Gardens. That's longfield-gardens.com. Thanks so much for joining us today. The Slow Flowers podcast is a member-supported endeavor, downloaded more than 861,000 times by listeners like you. Thank you for listening, commenting, and sharing. It means so much. As our movement gains more supporters and more passionate participants who believe in the importance of our domestic cut flower industry, the momentum is contagious. I know you feel it too. If you're new to our weekly show or our long-running podcast, check out all of our resources at slowflowersociety.com and consider making a donation to sustain Slow Flowers' ongoing advocacy, education, and outreach activities. You can find the donate button at slowflowerspodcast.com. I'm Deborah Prinzing, host and producer of The Slow Flowers Show and The Slow Flowers Podcast. The Slow Flowers Podcast is engineered and edited by Andrew Brenlin. The content and opinions expressed here are either mine alone or those of my guests alone, independent of any podcast sponsor or other person, company, or organization. Next week, you're invited to join me in putting more slow flowers on the table, one stem, one vase at a time. I'll see you then.